Whether you should get an iPhone or an Android phone in 2026 actually depends on your priorities, like what you value most, how you use the phone, and also your budget. But here's a clear comparison to actually help you out. Number one, ecosystem and compatibility. Apple's iOS works really well with other Apple products. I'm talking about the Mac, the iPad, and the AirPod, which means that if you already own an Apple product, then you need to understand that switching to an iPhone is usually very smooth. Now, when it comes to Android, there are lots of Android companies out there. For example, Vivo, Samsung, Google. But you need to understand that customization is actually more deeper here. For example, Android actually has widgets, they have launchers and home screen setup, which are actually very customizable. Which actually means that if you love an ecosystem that everything works together, then you're likely going to choose an iPhone. But if you love an ecosystem whereby you can customize and you can still have options or to choose certain things you want, then you have to actually go for an Android. Number two, camera and photography. Now, the iPhone 17 Pro Max tends to be very good when it comes to portrait mode and when it comes to video quality as well as consistent image quality. When it comes to Android, such as Samsung Galaxy S5 Ultra and the Pixel 10 Pro, they are mostly focused on superb zoom, night mode, and red lenses. But what you need to understand is that iPhone tends to excel in video quality and color consistency, whereas Android tends to excel in zoom range as well as computational tricks. Number three, customization and features. iPhones is all about simplicity. I'm talking about a very simple and easy to use interface. But the problem is that it's less customizable. When it comes to Android is very highly customizable. Talking about the widgets, the themes, the default apps, as well as deeper control. In fact, there are some Android phones that won't have features that iPhones doesn't have. I'm talking about the always on display. I'm also talking about the variable refresh control as well as the advanced file access. Number four, price and value. You see, most of these online experts they will say things like iPhones are the only phones that hold resale value, but that's not true. In fact, there's some Samsung phones that still has high resale value. For example, do you know that the S10 Plus still holds resale value? The screen of the S10 Plus is quite very expensive. So what I'm trying to say now is that the screen of the Samsung Galaxy S10 Plus is the reason why that phone still holds resale value. If you're to buy an S10 Plus right now in Nigeria, you will see it for at least, if you're to buy, let's say, refurbished, you can see it at least 270 or even 280. But meanwhile, when you want to sell it, you can actually sell that phone for at least 180,000 or 150 or even possibly even 200,000 naira. So you see, that's resale value there. But the thing is that when it comes to resale value, it mostly goes with flagship when it comes to what? To Android, which means that if we are to buy a Techno Spark 10 right now or a Techno Pova 2 right now, the price you bought will not be the same price you're going to actually, sell it. Like resale value will drop drastically. Why? Because of the fact that most of these Android mid-range smartphones actually use what? Cheap materials. So it's all about the materials being used on the Android. And when it comes to the S10 Plus or the S series in general, they actually use what? Premium materials. Alright? But yes, in case you're wondering, all iPhones are actually what? Premium due to the fact that iPhone doesn't make cheap iPhones apart from the iPhone SE first generation as well as the second generation, and all these smartphones didn't really do well in the market. Number five, gaming and performance. If there's one thing Apple has done very well on iPhones, is performance. Apple smartphones tend to stand the test of time in terms of performance. In fact, some of these older flop smartphones, talking about the iPhone SS Max and the iPhone X, they're still holding up in 2026. Whereas if you go to Samsung, for example, the Samsung Galaxy S8 is not holding up in 2026. And even the S10 Plus, when it comes to performance, is actually dropping. If you are someone who plays Call of Duty Mobile and you're using an S10 Plus since 2024, you notice that the Call of Duty Mobile on the S10 Plus, the quality or the refresh rate is dropping massively in 2026 on the S10 Plus. Whereas when it comes to phones like the SS Max, it's a bit still stable, almost similar with like the way you bought it the first time you bought the SS Max. That should tell you that the S10 Plus is aging. Now, the only time that Android, especially Samsung, actually tends to do better than iPhone is when it comes to raw power. You see, when it comes to power, Samsung actually dominates the iPhone when it comes to what? Raw power and speed, thanks to its Snapdragon chipset. Alright. The another thing is when it comes to also the refresh rate. The truth is that Samsung specifically mostly focus more on speed and refresh rate. So everything depends on you. If we choose long-term performance or speed and higher refresh rate, but everything depends on you in the long run.